And now we're going to bring in Faris. And I've always seen your name, Faris, but I don't know if I've ever pronounced your last name. So I don't start off by mispronouncing your last name. Pronounce it for me.
You're fine, honestly. It's Alami or Alami, whatever way you
I was
want.
going to go with Alami,
Yeah,
so
that's perfect. That's fine.
all right. So Faris has a new book out, and why don't you tell us a little bit about what that new book is about?
Good.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for asking about the book. The book is called The Power of Seven. And what I've been doing for the past 25 or so years of my career, as you know, I've been advising entrepreneurs and leaders in communities to engage, I call it, their communities. And what I've learned is all about relationships. We all know that in this space, but really no one has taken the time. I mean, few people have tried to take the time and explain how it works. What I did is I took the time to unfold it by steps. So saying what will really take for you to create relationships versus just sales, and to create a brand that people could remember it based on the information that you process and how you approach them. And that's really what the book is all about. So the idea is to come up with 7 ways to touch a customer over a period of 7 times in different ways. So it's not just like buy. It's about what relationships are you building with them. That's on a high level with some good details to, kind of like, give you some depth to it.
All right, and Faris, I know I think I may have met you a long time ago, not quite as long ago as Mike, but I know from what I remember, you started out in the retail world, right?
Yeah, very good. Wow, very good memory. So
better than mine anyway. So go ahead.
But it was Robinson, Macy's, that kind of thing. Tell me what you did for them and how that sort of grew into what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I would take you actually maybe even a step before. So I initially, I came through a wartime, and during the war, I actually got to learn how to, set up a retail store and a grocery store and a hair salon store. I had to run it at being a teenager, and that really gave me a taste of what it looks like. And when I came to the U.S. initially, I started printing T-shirts for nonprofits to raise their money. And that evolved over the years to perfumes, to other stuff. We grew to almost 500 people between retail and wholesale. In the early 2000, I joined Macy's initially as an executive, part of their executive team, turning around some of the areas that they had and then working with some of the areas. And I was really lucky because they gave me, I call it the bottom of the line area. They said, this has been going down for like 5-6 years. Can you do anything? And that's, to me, was like a great win for me and a great win for them. For 16 months in a row, we broke every record, from sales to retention of employees to, people who want to open accounts, to loss prevention, to everything else. So I was really lucky with that. And then they put me on a track to be part of their executive team on a monthly training. So like they had a program called STEP program. So I was really fortunate to work with Macy's and see the awesome infrastructure that they had to allow someone like me to analyze it and then be able to do something with it.
All right, so let's talk a little about those 7 touch points. What I'm sure you know them by heart. So what are they?
So this is the beautiful thing. You don't want to create a structure that is just permanent, right? The 7 touches needs to be about something completely based on who you're working with. So the way I structured the book is, first of all, you have to come up with what I call 7 potential customers. You should also come up with 7 should-be customers, or you'd like them to be customers, and then 7 what I call dream customers. And then what you want to do next is come up with 7 ways you're going to touch them. So one way could be having a call. Another way would be dropping a flyer. Another way would be, I saw an article that Mike would be really interested in reading, so I'm going to forward it to him. And then I'm going to be at a trade show somewhere. I'm going to let Mike know, hey, Mike, I'm going to be at this trade show actually next door to you. Would love to see if you're going to pop in and see me at the booth, right? Another one could be that, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. I'm going to come by and see if you have time to talk. So it's not necessarily just buy from me. I have this product, buy it. It's about understanding your customers or potential customers and coming up with a way that's really meaningful to them. And I also don't want you to replace anything else you're doing. I'm saying you should do all the other stuff. But this is just one way to get you in the market and to dominate the market in a way that is a little bit more meaningful than just sending a flyer to buy from you or to sign up for you. Does that make sense, Mike? So,
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we've kind of discovered that the hard way too. I prefer not to do selling, but if I don't sell, I don't pay my bills, so I have to. So, but I mean, a lot of it is just the networking. People don't buy from people they don't know. And we moved away from trying to sell a rate card. That didn't make any sense. We listen, like you said, we listen to what they want to do, and then we look at the various ways we can help them achieve those goals of doing whatever it is they want to do. Because now that the luxury of that is we've built out a lot of different ways we can help people now. We've got, you name it, we do. We don't. The only thing we don't do anymore is paper. I spent 20 years in the newspaper world, so we don't do that anymore. But we all sorts of with video, audio, newsletters, websites, you name it, we do it all. And it's just a matter of how that fits what the customer wants to do.
Yeah, so you're touching them different ways, right? So you may be touching through the newsletter, you might be touching them through, like you and I, we might have touched base on Facebook, right? We might touch base again on LinkedIn. I might see you at the next conference in Michigan. So these are ways I call it touching. I'm not necessarily every time I'm seeing you, did you buy my book? Did you sign up for a program, right? I don't have to do that. Although at one point you do need to ask for the sale. It just builds that relationship for you to have a little bit more ease when you ask for the sale when you need it.
Right.
So 7 seems like an intentional number, oddly specific. So why 7? Why not 6? Why not 8? What is it so special about 7?
There are lots of reasons, Matt. I mean, where do you want to start? But I would say there are 7 days of the week. There are 7, there are all kinds of things that I came up with. And as an entrepreneur, having worked 7 days almost all my life, I just thought that this could be just one way to help people to remember. You could pick 10, you could pick 20. I just picked the 7 touches, because we also know psychologically, actually speaking, it takes 7 to 10 touches for people to feel comfortable with you to buy from you. That's not fair speaking. That's scientifically speaking. The 10 touches allows usually people to buy easier from you. So I picked the number 7 because it was the bottom line of 7 to 10. And then, of course, I mentioned 7 days. There are also 7 skies based on depending on what religion you believe in and so on and so forth. So I felt like the number 7 just made sense, and it was easy, not overwhelming. If you went with 20 or 100, you just might never get to them. But if you came up with 5 to 7, it's just, you could tackle it.
Yeah, it's kind of like marketing. I'm no marketing expert, but I've done it for a long time. And we tell people it takes a long time to build a brand. I mean, how often do you see a commercial on TV before you remember what the product is, let alone want to buy the product, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons I watch these news shows, and God, they pepper me with the same commercial 5 or 6 times during the show, right? And so it's kind of along similar lines, I guess, with marketing to build a brand. But certainly to build those relationships, I think, are really, really key. That would be the only advice I would offer to other entrepreneurs is make sure that you have that relationship or you're not going to go anywhere.
Speaking of relationships, I was talking to another colleagues of mine. He was saying that that's actually how politicians win campaigns, is by the number of doors that they knock on. So it's all about the more touches you have. And he mentioned the number 10, 8 to 10 is what it will take for someone to win a campaign. So I feel like, that's I came to it to Matt's earlier point through my experience through working these retails and service companies, but also watching other entrepreneurs, having been advising them for so long, what they've done, what they haven't done, what they, how they won some things, and I realizing there's a methodology that we could learn from it so we don't have to take it the long way. Doesn't mean that you can't do other stuff. It just means that this could potentially help move the needle in a different direction.
Sure.
Well, and it's also very true what Mike was saying, what both of you have been saying, that people don't buy from people they don't know. About 1 million years ago, back during the dot-com boom, I read a book by a guy named Seth Godin called Permission Marketing, and the message of that book is that it's not obnoxious advertising if you actually want the stuff. The key is finding the people who actually want the stuff, and maybe you have to do a little bit of convincing on the way. Maybe they didn't know they wanted the stuff, but you're going to show them why they do. So that's a big part of it.
Love it. Yeah, I agree. I think I used to be one of those people whom I say believed in at least like the FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. And I still believe in it. I think people, unfortunately, a lot of them fall into it. but I have shifted through my, maybe growing up to say that when someone now tries to sell me something and they throw the FOMO fear on me, I usually say, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to actually miss out on this sale. As I grew and became a little bit more mature in my career myself, it feels like that's, something that we all could, if we know that it takes this long 7 touches, let's just build those relationships. And if there's no sale, that's okay. Now they remember you for the good person or the good product or service that you have. And then they don't have to think, oh, do I have to see this person? They're going to try to make me think I'm going to lose if I don't buy something today. And I don't want to be that, company or that person.
Okay. So let's talk about how people can get their hands on this hot book. Is probably flying off the shelves. You're probably in the 3rd reprint already by now, right?
It is actually. You're funny you say that. We have been printing batches of hundreds, and we just keep printing them. So I'm very lucky to be doing that. And we haven't even really done the full press release. We've been doing more of like a pre-launch parties, and so far I'm very fortunate. They can go to our website. Of course, they could buy it from our website, International Strategic Management, which is myisminc.com. They could find also on Amazon. It's available both print as well as Kindle. And of course, there's a workbook that goes with it for those who want to take their hands and work through it and make it work. Even the book itself has worksheets during the workbook. So it's kind of like a reading book, some stories, of course, and some examples, in addition to actual worksheets after every chapter.